Welcome back to part 2 of Let's Get Political with Representative Rudman. Now before you were a representative, you were in the papers. You have these right here. Tell me about it.
Well, so I fancy myself a little bit of a guitar player. I mean, I'm truth be told, I'm terrible, right? I'm terrible. But again, my idol is Paul Stanley of Kiss. That's what motivated me when I was young. That's why I went to medical school, because Paul Stanley said, you can be a winner. You can be anything in life you want to be. And, even to the point where when I was studying overseas, I was 20 years old. I didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have any future, didn't have many friends. I was in a foreign country studying in college, and my friends back home, they mailed me a picture of Paul Stanley. And they, of course, they taped a little quote, coming out of his mouth saying, who, Joel Rudman? Oh, yeah, he's a winner. He's a winner. And just little things like that can just boost your spirits. So if you've never listened to a Kiss album, if you've never bought a Paul Stanley book, I encourage you to do both of those things, because he's very inspirational. He, like me, maybe like my interviewer, maybe like everybody watching, he once was nobody. And he had people telling him, you'll never be anybody. He was a taxi driver in New York City. And he remembers driving by Madison Square Garden, telling the guy in the back, telling his fare that, one day I'm going to play Madison Square Garden. And the guy sitting in the back of his cab said, you're a crazy cabbie. That's stupid. And look at him now, right? Look at him now. So Paul Stanley's always been an idol of mine. When it comes to playing guitar, he's an idol of mine playing guitar. So Paul's not one of these guys that's, he's not that guy. He's a chord guy. He's a rhythm guy. So when you have a melody of a song, when you're listening to a Kiss song, and it's Lick It Up, that's Paul Stanley playing that. What's great about Paul Stanley is not only does he play, that, but he's juking around. He's moving. He's putting on a show. He's dancing to his own music. So there's a visual component as well. So I fancy myself a little bit in that vein. So when it came to politics, I look around. People are doing these fundraisers. People are doing different things to get their message out. People are hosting dinners. People are putting on golf tournaments, and that's just not me. Like I said, I'm a music guy. So I looked around and I said, well, what can I do to attract a crowd? What can I do to get people, maybe people who aren't even interested in politics, to listen to what I'm saying? And I thought, well, the universal language is music. So I said, you know what? This is what I enjoy. This is what I do. We're going to put on some gigs. So like we were saying earlier, when I was a political candidate, I put on about maybe 3 gigs around Navarre, again, just anything to draw a crowd. And as they would arrive, we'd say, I'm running for office, I'm doing this and that. And people would get interested. So then when I became state representative, same thing. People are like, hey, I hear you play guitar. Could you play for us in this town? Could you play for us? I've had people from down in South Florida ask me, is there any way we can get you down in South Florida to play a gig? So funny story. We were talking about being in the papers. So this is an article that was written about me. You see, that's me with the war paint on. That's me channeling my inner Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue. So this story ran across dozens of Florida newspapers on the front page. So if you live in a town where your newspaper is run by USA Today, I was on your front page. Some of these are from Jacksonville. Some of these are from Palm Beach. Some of these are from Pensacola, Panama City. We're talking across the state coverage. And the reason this story was front page news is because this is a nonpartisan event. It's an apolitical event. This wasn't a Republican concert. This wasn't a let's smear the other side concert. So the concert in question, where this picture's taken from, when I got to the legislature, people, friends of mine, colleagues, they were like, oh, we hear you do these concerts, but they're all the way in the Panhandle. We live in Miami. We live in Jacksonville. There's no way we'll ever be able to make a concert, on a Tuesday night in Navarre. Could you maybe do one that we could get to? So we came up with the idea during committee weeks. Well, I'll put one on right here in Tallahassee. The way it worked out, it happened to work out to be the birthday of my best friend. So in that, the calendar just lined up So it's like, Rep Cassell that we were talking about in the earlier question, say, hey, we're putting on a birthday party for you. And it's going to be a rock concert. And because it was the October committee weeks, all right, this isn't going to be the normal gig. This isn't going to be me standing up there playing, Living After Midnight. This is going to be a Halloween themed concert. So that's why you see me with the war paint on, channeling my inner Nikki Sixx. That's why you see me wearing kind of a frilly shirt there. And under that frilly shirt, there was a fishnet shirt. Again, kind of the Motley Crue Shout at the Devil look. I was wearing, I think they call them PVC pants. They're not leather, but they're like skin tight. So tight you can count the change in my pocket, right? And I was also wearing platform boots, not as big as Paul Stanley's platform shoes, but they were really big and they were 2 sizes too small. So by the end of the concert, my feet were killing me. But the things we do for rock and roll, the things we do to get our message out, right? But anyway, the reason this made the headlines of newspapers across the state is because reporters were at my Halloween concert. And this just blew their minds. They're like, we haven't seen anything like this in 20 something years. Like, you're a politician. You don't care. First of all, anything goes. We played some songs that were pretty explicit, but I'm the freedom doc. You asked me earlier what word would signify my campaign and my stance. Freedom of speech. Hey, I can sing songs in good fun as long as you understand it's tongue in cheek, right? So the songs we said, we hadn't seen anything like this. And not only that, the number of people and the people from across the aisle that were there, they were like, this is how politics used to be. It used to be that you could disagree on policy and you would meet up at 5 p.m. and you would all be friends again and you didn't take things personally. So the reporters, they loved it. They got quotes from a good friend of mine, Representative Tay Edmonds, the representative from West Palm Beach, who is also across the aisle. Tay said some really nice things about me in the article. But guys, this is what we have to get back to, right? We have to get back to the things that unite us. We have to get back to the things that bind us together. I'm sure Tay, the songs we were playing, we played some Megadeth songs, some Metallica. We played a song by the Misfits because it was Halloween. I'm sure Tay doesn't listen to the Misfits, but the point is he got what we were doing. He understood the message, and the message resonates. The music is just the vehicle for the message, and the showmanship, the flair, the flamboyance, it's just a vehicle for the message. And the message is we all have to pull together. We all have to get along, that there are way more things that unite us than divide us. And so when you see me on social media, when you see me post pictures of me, playing the Rick Springfield guitar, or playing my Les Paul, when you see me in makeup or you see me say things that are a little bit outlandish, just understand it's about getting the message out. I can be the blandest politician in the world and I can have the greatest ideas, but if I'm bland, there won't be any stories written about it. You won't know my bills exist. If I pick up this guitar and tell you that I'm fighting to control animal research in the state of Florida, now all of a sudden you're aware of my bill. And why did you tune in? Was it because of the animal? No, you tuned in because you saw me holding a guitar. So again, this is the vehicle for getting the message out. And we have lots of important messages. We're running 7 different bills this session, and every single one of them has a common thread of freedom. But again, you can have the greatest ideas in the world. If you don't have a vehicle to get those ideas out, they die of loneliness. They die on the vine. No one's ever aware. No one knows what you do. I think it's safe to say, Alicia, that by the time I'm done in Tallahassee, everyone will know that I was in Tallahassee. I was here. Does that make sense?
What's your death meal? You're on death row. You have one last meal. What is it?
We're gonna get really philosophical on you now. You didn't realize you asked a philosophical question. Every meal should be your death meal, because I can't tell you I'm going to be back next session. And that's up to the voters. It may not even be up to the voters. It may be up to me. I can't tell you that I'm going to make it home tonight. I think the approach is every day, every meal has to be your death meal. And when I say that, understand when you see me post on Facebook and you're like, God, that was outlandish. That was outrageous. He's living like he's not sure tomorrow is guaranteed. He's posting that because he doesn't know if that might be the last thing he ever says. And so I think when you live that way, when you approach the world like that, when you wake up in the morning, you approach the day like that, got to be honest with you. Sometimes this personality doesn't mesh well with the legislature. We're all supposed to be buddy here. We're all supposed to have each other's back. First back I've got to have is my own, right? Again, my bills are my priority.
Would you ever want them to move it to Orlando?
I'd want them to move it to Navarre, Florida, so that way I could see patients when we're not in session. We can even have session on the beach. I mean, what would be better than that, right? Where they filmed Jaws 2. Y'all remember that beautiful sugar white sand and the lovely green water? Who would not want to have meetings in Navarre Beach?
I feel like we've lost something with playlists versus mixtapes, because it used to be the opening it and feeding it in, and then it just like.
And it used to be pride of ownership too. Like your favorite band, Megadeth. All right, their album's coming out in 3 weeks, and you would literally like mark the days off your calendar. Oh my God, the Megadeth album's going to drop any day. And it wouldn't be, okay, let me download it on iTunes. It'd be, I want the physical copy. I didn't really grow up with albums. That's like before my time, but I grew up with CDs. So you'd go buy the compact disc and you'd open it up, because it would come with the sleeve, all right, who wrote what song, who did the artwork for the album. I mean, all that information would be there. And now there's none of that. Now music is kind of throwaway. It's kind of, okay, there's a song on. I don't know who sings it. Like at the karaoke bar last night. So I sang The Cult. I sang a song called Love Removal Machine. I sang another song that's kind of explicit, so I'm not going to give you that one. But other people were singing songs, and I would ask the person next to me, whose song is this? And say, oh, it's on the radio all the time. I said, yeah, I know that, but whose song is it? Have no idea. I don't know who the artist is. So are you really an artist? Are you really getting something out of the exchange if people don't know who you are? If your music is just disposable, if it's throwaway? We got pretty philosophical there on that question. Yeah. We didn't do that on questions 1, 2, and 3. But no, I could talk all day.